Do you want me to call you BB?
Sure. What do you want? Brooke, is Brooke better? First name?
Whatever you want. How about we say your name is Brooke, but everyone calls you BB,
Sure.
as in like Brigitte
Brigitte Bardot.
Bardot. Hi, everyone. Welcome to an episode of Straight Edge Tiki. Today I am up in Edmonds, but it feels more like Linwood for some reason. You guys are you and Pat, my buddy Patrick. This is my friend Brooke, otherwise
Hello.
known as BB, as in Bridget Bardot, right? Like that's how Americans say it, right?
Yeah. Just like we'll be pronouncing the LaCroix.
Yeah. So, but how do you actually say Bridget Bardot?
Brigitte Bardot.
Brigitte Bardot.
Brigitte
Brigitte
Bardot.
Bardot.
Voilà. Parfait.
Yeah. What she said. And today you actually came up with this cocktail. You and Patrick invited me and my buddy Tommy out for dinner a couple weeks ago. And you're like, yeah, I made this non-alcoholic drink. Do you want to taste it? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And it was really, really good. And it was kind of tropical. So I'm like, yeah, well, I want to definitely do an episode with you about you making this cocktail for us. But before we do that, BB is kind of you've been on the same path as me.
Yeah.
As we are filming this, I am 1 year sober, but you are 1 year sober a couple weeks ago, back in January.
Yep.
So, two questions. What made you decide to stop drinking, and how has it gone for this first year for you?
Deciding to quit drinking was decades in the making.
Decades in the making.
So sometimes the decision looked like I'd said something I didn't want to.
Yeah.
To someone and hurt their feelings, or I'd done something dangerous.
Yeah.
Or simply just felt like crap.
Yeah.
But a lot of my years at Penn State, Pennsylvania.
I'm Penn State alumni, actually.
Feeling really crappy. And so it actually wasn't until I met your very good friend that I realized that sometimes in life you meet someone and they make you better.
Yeah.
They inspire you to be better. And I realized that I wasn't willing to be sloppy any longer.
Yeah.
And there are other reasons as well. I think primarily the journey started with maybe like all of us when we're deciding to stop something. It's a combination of factors. It's caloric, it's expensive, you do stupid things, you meet someone you don't want to disappoint. And there's also a few other reasons for me.
Yeah. And well, I mean, for me, it was more like health reasons. And it was sort of like, hey, I can't sleep anymore. So it was weeks in the making for me as opposed to years. Mm-hmm. But what finally pushed you over the edge to say like, okay, I'm done?
Well, it was a blackout. It was a time where we were traveling and in a beautiful location.
Yeah.
And I decided to be in the evening with wine, and then that turned into sake at a really wonderful sushi bar, which then turned into, we were in the South, in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Which then turned into a bourbon in a rocking chair.
No, is this the same night?
Yeah.
The same evening?
Same night.
Okay.
And so the next thing I remember after sitting on the rocking chair with the bourbon is waking up the next morning.
Yeah. And
realizing that something was wrong, and my partner wasn't in bed with me, and I didn't really understand what was happening.
Oh, no.
So yeah, it was how many times can you say you have to forgive me, I don't remember, before you actually have to, as an aware human being, just take accountability for it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And I'll tell you what, BB, it's like that is one of the hardest things about this whole thing about quitting drinking, mm-hmm. is to come to a realization that, I need to stop. Mm-hmm. I need to stop. This isn't good for me for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. But for a lot of people, that never happens.
Yeah.
You justify it. Mm-hmm. It's like believe me, I've had my nights of like, where like, you wake up the next morning, you're like, oh my God, what the hell just happened? Mm-hmm. And then you're like, well, that was a bad night. Yeah. I drank too much, not really thinking it's like, but how many more I just had a bad night until this, like, okay, I have to make
Yeah.
some changes.
And the ultimate excuse for me was I used to import French wine.
Oh
I
my
was in
God.
the
Yeah.
wine industry.
Oh my God.
And I used to teach courses on enjoying French wine.
Yeah.
I'm fluent in French, as you know. And taking that part out of me was like taking a piece of me out.
And
Something that I
yeah.
grew to love, and I knew viticulture and
Yeah.
enology, and rolled with sommeliers and worked in wine bars, and it was just like I couldn't fathom not drinking just because of the wine piece of it.
Well, like even like with my situation, being into tiki, I mean, the tiki cocktails
Yeah.
are the thing. For a lot of people, that's like the base. And it was really, really tough because it's sort of like, it's what was the term, losing your religion, where you're sort of like, well, okay, well, I'm into this whole tiki thing, but now I'm not going to drink.
Mhm.
Well, how am I going to navigate through that? Like, how am I going to do it? And that's why I'm doing this series.
Mhm.
And it's two pronged. One prong is like cocktails. I want to show non-alcoholic cocktails, and here's some drinks that you can make that are good and non-alcoholic. To realize that people can see that, oh yeah, you can do this. Like you
Affordably.
affordably,
Yeah.
and like you can make this drink at your tiki bar, and like you'll be fitting right in. But before we get into that, though, how was your first year of being sober?
It was amazing.
Was it?
Yeah, quite frankly, I had hoped for a little more weight loss.
Yeah.
I was a little shocked, and this is why it brought me to having mocktail alternatives that aren't loaded with sugar.
Yeah.
But I did expect that that would be a bonus. It didn't end up
I
happening.
gained weight.
Yeah.
I did gain weight
Yeah,
because I think for a little bit I kind of replaced the alcohol with food because I
absolutely.
love food,
Hmm.
and
And the mocktails too, right?
yeah,
Like you're a personality, and you're in these tiki bars, and that someone wants to have you enjoy their recipe, and a lot of
yeah,
it is what coconut cream and
a
sugar.
lot of sugar, a lot of
Yum.
sugar, and
Yeah.
it's like, and I'll tell you what, even like when it comes to the non-alcoholic drinks, it's a
Hmm.
sort of like there is still a lot of sugar there. There is still a lot of calories.
Yeah.
So one part of this too is trying to find non-alcoholic drinks that aren't going to like break the bank as far as the sugar content is
Yeah.
concerned. And this cocktail is like, how many calories do you think this thing
I
is?
would say only as good as the Simply Limit. I mean, like 110 calories per serving, and there's probably
And it's
a
eight
half of
ounces.
a cat, so 50 calories there.
Yeah.
It's probably a 75 calorie. Well, so we have a simple syrup variation that we'll
Yeah.
get to when we make it, but
Yeah. And this
you
is
could
70
say,
calories per, yeah, an
and
ounce.
you can take that or leave it, right?
Yeah.
And so pretty low calorie. But yeah, there were triggers over the year. I don't know if you experienced it, but there were moments that were really hard, and I didn't expect them to be hard.
Yeah.
And mostly they were centered around stress, right?
Explain.
Stressful events. So,
Yeah.
having a moment where something bad had happened. I got bad news about a friend who had cancer.
Yeah.
The first thing I wanted to do was look back at my bar and think, okay, what am I going to do? It's like, I love Mad Men. We talked about
Yeah.
Mad Men.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just the idea of having a rocks glass and pouring some straight brown liquid
Yeah.
into it, and just feeling my tongue and my brain start to move at a different speed instantly.
Yeah.
Being at my dad got inducted into the University of Pittsburgh
Yeah. You
Sports
did a
Hall of
little, you
Fame.
did a little trip
Yeah,
back to the Berg.
back home. But I had to be in a box at the pit game, and it's all about drinking at those football games. And I'm like, okay, how is this actually going to go? And so they had a caterers there.
Yeah.
And I walked up to the girl and I said, what can I really want to have a beer. Do you have an NA beer? And she looked at me like I was crazy. And I said,
here in Pittsburgh,
you do know there's a movement happening
Yeah.
right now, but that's like O'Doul's. What do you have? Is it like, which tastes like cornflakes?
Yeah.
But
You're being generous there,
but
baby.
yeah, so I actually made her call her catering manager and ask for a non-alcoholic alternative
Yeah.
for the picky girl in the box.
Yeah.
Because I felt like it was very important, and I feel like there are a lot of people who aren't drinking for a lot of reasons, but we need to support one another. So she
Yeah.
brought up a 6 or a 12 of Heineken, those little bullets, like
Yeah.
you get at the park. And so that was a hard moment, that really turned into not being one for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, how was it being in that scenario where like everyone's drinking except you?
it's you it's hard. It's
Yeah.
very hard. I've almost lost a friend, one of my very, very good friends over this. I didn't realize how do I say this without sounding extra? Um, how stupid people get, and the same jokes are being told and all
No,
over
yeah.
and
No,
over.
yeah. It's
And
like, oh, he's told this story over
here
again.
we go again.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
and so seeing the people around me in a different light and looking at them, and
They're all idiots.
they're
I'm starting to see bars starting to have a non-alcoholic menu with more than, with more than one drink or two drinks, like serious cocktails. I think there is a lot of people out there that aren't drinking, or people that are starting to think like, well, no, well, like, from I understand, like younger kids, they're not, they don't really want to drink. So what do you think's going on? They're just smarter than us, or what do you think happened?
I think I think they have a lot more of an intuitive sense of the way the world is working. I mean, they don't think that government represents them.
Yeah.
Their gender's fluid. It's just like it's a different way of orienting to the world, right? Where
Yeah.
Gen X taught you could be anything, but didn't actually turn out to be the case.
Yeah, we're
I don't know.
being Gen X is like, you can be
Yeah.
anything you want. Well, how do I do that? I don't know.
I feel like there's a pragmatism too with, maybe they're up to different things and they got the memo sooner than we did about not wanting to feel like crap and wanting to make the most of the experience they're having,
Yeah,
without numbing it.
I know.
I'm a big fan of numbing the experience.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, and well, I think another thing too is like drink is not cheap anymore. Back then you used to go out and you'd get like, what would a beer would be like $2, $2-3, throw down $1 for a tip and you're good to go. Oh, you want to be fancy? Yeah, let me get a gin and tonic. Oh, that'd be $4. Oh, you want to call it? Okay, a Tanqueray and tonic. All right, well that's gonna be $5. It's like nothing. But now, like you go out, and if you're gonna get a cocktail, it's not uncommon for like drinks to be like $14, $15, $16.
Well, and what the heck is up with a mocktail being $11 or $12?
Well, the mileage may vary. I mean, there's some places I've seen that the price is reasonable, but but there are some places that I've seen, like specifically craft cocktail places.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, it's again what I've found when it comes to like the craft cocktail places is it's about the presentation. It's about the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's about that we're going to use all these weird, crazy ingredients, and I'm going to rub the glass with the rind, and
they've done a hydrosol from the
I'm
lavender.
going to do this, and ba boom, ba boom, and so it's all about that, and I kind of get that.
Yeah.
And I've had some of those non-alcoholic drinks, and they're great. They are cheaper than most of the time than like a regular cocktail. And speaking of cheap, this drink that you're going to make for me is literally 4 ingredients. What is the name of this drink?
So this is a Coco Loco.
The Coco Loco.
The Coco Loco.
Cool. So what's all in this?
So there are 4 ingredients.
4.
Yes.
I think I can handle that.
Yep. So I'm going to start with the lemon. A lot of people would think that a coconut drink calls for lime, and I don't agree.
Yeah.
I think that the lemon adds a weight.
Yeah.
And the acidity is a little, I don't know, maybe it's gentler. I'm not really sure why, but
yeah.
I like just grocery store options, Simply Lemonade.
So
I like their product.
So literally lemonade.
Lemonade. Yep, lemonade. I like the commercial lemonade because it has speaking to us. Because
I picked it up and I heard all of a sudden I started hearing like
drink me.
I'm like, what the So lemonade.
Lemonade. And I do like the commercial one rather than making it myself because it has sugar in it and it's been, hanging out on a shelf for a little bit, doing its sugary thing.
And you don't have to make it. That's right. The ease of use.
Yes.
But then on top of it, there is lemon juice in the drink too.
That's right. So lemonade,
fresh
lemon juice, and coconut LaCroix.
Yeah. So it's technically not LaCroix. If you went over to France, they're not going to be calling this LaCroix.
They would hang you on the croix
Yeah.
for saying LaCroix.
So it's
LaCroix.
LaCroix.
But the Wisconsin folks where it's produced would be furious. So
everyone I know calls LaCroix.
LaCroix.
Yeah, and they think they're fancy because it's like, oh, look, there's an I and an X. So I know that's LaCroix, but they're like way off.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, LaCroix. Well, to make things simple, we're just going to call it LaCroix. Or would you rather call it LaCroix?
I'm going to just go with LaCroix. I've trained myself to do it. I've beaten it out of myself as a Francophile.
Oh, you know what's funny? I mean, like me moving here from the East Coast, because I'm from Pennsylvania, I don't say orange, I say orange. I don't say foreigner, I say foreigner. And it's very, very hard for me to be like, it sounds wrong for me to say orange. So it's like, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So we'll call it LaCroix. And I've had this coconut water by itself, and it's great.
Yeah. And there's something about the mouthfeel of LaCroix too that I think is really approachable. I think people really like it. You're a fan of the
limoncello. No, how do you say that one?
The water you drink, the sparkly water, the
liquid
death.
Oh yeah,
which has a similar mouthfeel. So for me, I find it too. It's a little bit about not drinking alcohol is a little bit about the taste, but it's also about the mouthfeel. Yeah. Right. So I've gotten into some non-alcoholic wines a little bit, and they're getting quite good at them. But back to, we need to talk about wine. Simple syrup. So we talked about lemonade, coconut LaCroix, and simple syrup. And
I hear that simple syrup is really simple to make.
Hack alert. 1 part sugar, 1 part water.
Yeah.
Warm it up and cool it, and use this bottle that you probably bought for $6.
Yeah.
And clean it out and sanitize it and put your own simple syrup in it. Plus, you could do fun stuff with it. You could put a drop of essential oil of lemon in it and have a lemon simple syrup.
Yeah.
But at the heart of this recipe is just simplicity.
It's just hard
Easy
to talk.
for me to say.
It's just hard to talk about. Let's have you make us this cocktail.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Okay, so what do we need? We need to get some ice, right?
We need to get ice.
All right.
So I like to add the lemon juice in first.
Yeah.
The lemonade, rather. Give it a shake, although the way it was speaking to you earlier, it's... Okay,
for a second when you were doing that, I'm like, I hope the cap is on. I hope the cap is on. So how much? Just
So it depends on the taste of the individual.
Yeah.
So my partner appreciates a more tart version.
Yeah.
But yet more simple syrup. So you've got the acidity in the lemonade, you've got the acidity in the carbonation.
Yeah.
So for me, we'll do 2 different ones. So we're going to do one that is on the sweeter side and one that is not.
Yeah.
So about half of it is the lemonade. This one will be 1/4.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So the thing with this cocktail is that it's just kind of like you can mix and match how you want things to be.
That's right.
Okay.
Do you like things more tart or sweet?
We're in the middle.
Okay, so you're going to be sweeter. I'm going to be tartar.
Okay.
So fresh lemon juice. Any squeezer will do.
Yeah. If you're watching this video and you don't know how to squeeze a lemon, then you're not going to be able to make this cocktail.
So I will document this recipe, although I will tell you that it's about 2 tablespoons.
Okay.
Right. So we're going to do about 2 tablespoons and try not to get the seed in there.
Perfect.
And then I'm going to have you open this for me, my friend.
The LaCroix. How do you say coconut and
noix de coco?
LaCroix.
He's a Coco Loco. So we're going to add in the carbonated coconut LaCroix.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you said a little sweeter for you?
Just actually a little bit. Just a little bit.
So I, in a very scientific manner.
I'll tell you what, the cocktail is already smelling nice.
I'm
smelling the coconut and the lemon.
This is a very specific measurement. It's called a squirt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, to taste, right?
Yes. So then what I like to do is to stir it.
Is that what you like to do? You like to stir it? I think a lot of people like to do that.
Helpful. Very helpful. The jokes and sarcasm are free.
Yeah.
Completely free. And then I like to float one of these puppies on top.
Perfect.
Yeah. And we'll submerge it a bit. Yeah. So that's it. That is a Coco Loco. And it probably costs about, I don't know, $1.25 a drink.
It's like nothing.
Right? I mean, how much is a sleeve of LaCroix? $6?
Oh, is that what they call it?
I don't want to be on that game.
Is it a sleeve?
A sleeve?
I've never heard any, like a case of LaCroix. Patrick, when you come back from work, can you bring me back a sleeve of LaCroix? Is that what they call it over in France? A sleeve of LaCroix.
I don't know.
Here.
Okay. Cheers.
Here's to our sobriety. 1 year.
Yes.
And that is great. It's interesting because at first blush with the lemon, because you smell the lemon in your nose, and you can smell the lemon juice coming up between the lemon juice and the lemonade. And at first think you're like, oh, I'm going to drink lemonade. But then as soon as you taste it, you taste the coconut. And it balances it out.
Yeah.
So it's weird. It's like you think that it's going to be all lemon, but the majority of the taste is the coconut.
It makes it mellow. It almost tastes sweet. It's like the coconut has a roundness. And I tried it with lime.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan. Sort of the
well, if you're going to be using the lemonade in it, it wouldn't make sense to put lime in it.
Try limeade, I suppose.
No, I guess so, but no, the lemon makes sense though.
And it's so refreshing too.
And the nice thing is that this is a great drink. Two different things that I'm noticing. You have the carbonation from the from the LaCroix. See, I'm trying to say LaCroix, and then you have the bite from the actual lemon juice. Because the main thing I think with a lot of people when they're making non-alcoholic drinks is that you got to have that bite, the bite where the alcohol would be.
Yeah.
Because if not, then you're just drinking like sugar.
Well, let's try something here. I'm going to add more coconut.
Okay.
Because I feel like it needs a little bit more.
Okay.
And I want you to see what happens. It gives it a little more dimension. Maybe not.
It completely changed the drink.
Yeah. The coconut and the lemon is beautiful together.
No, you know what? I think I liked it better before you added it. It's weird. The weird thing is, this is the crazy thing, BB, is that you added the coconut, but then it took away the taste of the coconut. Where I don't know what happened, but like before you taste, I mean, can you taste the coconut? Is it more pronounced for you?
I feel like I need to give it a little swizzle. It's more lemony now.
Interesting, right? Even though you added more coconut.
Now you also can pull the lever with a simple syrup too, which gives it a different dimension. So yeah, basically.
This is crazy because it actually got more tart. Even though you added the coconut, you would have think that it would actually add more, it'd be smoother.
That's what I was anticipating.
But it actually makes it more tart. But it's still good though. So that's the cool thing about this cocktail, and I think it's a really good cocktail for people that make, like, say, in their tiki bar or something like that, is because you can play around with the different ingredients. I bet you can probably get away with not using the simple syrup. And because I bet you the sweetness of the coconut will be enough. But God, this is like really, really easy to make.
You could do a pineapple garnish, like a roasted pineapple garnish, or coconut, chunk of coconut.
Chunk of coconut.
Chunk of coconut.
That should be the name of your next cocktail. That you make.
That one requires a blender.
Or does that be a nickname for a friend that's fat? Oh, here we go. Here comes chunk of coconut again.
Hey, I just opened the door. You just had to walk through it.
Okay, and then as far as,
It's still rolling.
yep, are you ready?
Okay.
Okay, so we got our go.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
Oh, I just crashed my knee into
So we'll just pretend that
the thing.
none of this happened. So anyway, BB, tell me about.
I know, right? So awkward.
Hey everyone, just want to let you know that if you're interested in getting a straight edge Tiki shirt, you could buy your own over at my website, tikiwithray.com/buy a shirt. They're $20 plus $8 shipping. And you don't have to be straight edge to buy one.